Hey guys, Andy here from Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. I hope you're all doing well. This video is going to be a quick video, and it's basically, I keep getting asked by everybody in lots of different communities how to get the perfect 3D bloom. So I'm going to show you 10 simple steps how to hopefully get that perfect 3D bloom in your resin first time, every time. So if that's what you're interested in, you're in the right place. And let's go to step one. Step one, pick your resin wisely. Different resins require different temperatures, and that is because they are different consistency. So think about, are you going to use a medium viscosity resin? Are you going to use a thick viscosity resin? Or are you going to use a thin viscosity resin? Personally, I always go for a medium 1-to-1 resin. That's where I think you'll get the best results.
Step 2, get on that PPE, get that respirator on, get those gloves on. You might not get any more likes on Tinder, but it will protect your lungs, which is what you want. And dogs seem to love it too. Let's move to step 3.
Step 3, mix up the right amount of resin that you need for your project as per the manufacturer's instructions. Try not to get too many bubbles in it at this stage. You're wanting your resin to be streak free and crystal clear. If you've got one, put it in a debubbling machine afterwards, and then we go to step 4. Step 4, chill. Usually for about 20 minutes whilst your resin heats up. Where most people go wrong in this step is they assume it's 20 minutes. It's different for every resin. If you're using a thick resin, then you want to wait till it gets to around about 31 to 33 degrees. If you're using a medium viscosity resin, you probably want to wait for 35 to 38 degrees. And if you've not got one, get yourself one of these laser thermometers. They make it a lot easier to judge the temperature of your resin. But until then, just chill for about 20 minutes typically, but check your temperatures. So, have you waited 15-20 minutes? Have you checked that temperature? Is it 35 to 38 degrees if you're going with a medium viscosity resin? If it is, you're ready for the next stage. The exciting stage, the pour.
Wait, you know who you are. Go back. Don't forget step 2. Get those gloves on. Get that respirator on before the pour.
So you've waited patiently. Is it time? Are you at 34, 35 degrees? Oh, so close. 10 more seconds. Also, when you pour, if there's anything you want to put in the center, like these little glass beads or anything like that, that is the time you want to do it before we go to the next step. Boom! 34.1 degrees means I am ready for pouring. So the exciting part here is literally just pour that lovely resin into your mold. You want it to be around about ½ centimeter. A little bit more won't hurt, but that's roughly what you're aiming for, around about ½ centimeter. So, resin in there, and you want to leave some for the next step, which will be mixing your white. There we go, half a pot there ready for the white. Now all you're going to do, get your silicone tool, go around the edges, get rid of any of those pesky bubbles that will stick to those edges, and they'll create a gap in your coaster unless you get rid of them. Flick any bubbles that you can see into the center, like so. It's quite relaxing really. And then get your torch, and this is the only time to use your torch, and get rid of any bubbles that might be on that surface. If you're going to be adding a centre, as I said, now is the time to do it. All you're going to want to do if you're using glass beads or glitter or metals or anything like that, add a tiny bit of resin to your glass beads, like so. Mix it around with a stick. And then carefully place roughly in the centre of your bloom. Beautiful. You might want to just give it a little bit of a movie around as well once it's in there, like so. Keep it central, make sure you're happy. Beautiful, that looks like it's relatively central to me. Then you're going to get your torch again for the final time. And just torch off those extra bubbles that you've just put in. Boom. Now you're ready for the next stage, the really fun stage. Time to drop those inks. Not like that, like this. When it comes to your inks, the world is your oyster. Just remember, cheaper inks don't tend to last as long. So I tend to use the Let's Resin alcohol inks just because for me they're well concentrated and they've worked really well in blooms. So you can put as many colours in as you want in there and do whatever design you want. So for this one, dead simple. 2 drops of yellow in the centre. Ended up being 3. Like so. Then I'm going to use red and blue. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always remember to shake your alcohol inks as well, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one's slightly off, but that's okay. We can live with that. Now, let everything settle. Chill and mix your white whilst they settle. Step 7. Mix your white. Now you can use a pigment paste like this ocean white. You can use a metallic white paste. You can use pretty much whatever you want as long as it's white. Now the thing to remember when you're mixing your white is not to do it too heavily. If you do your white too heavy, then you will inevitably get blobs, which is one of the things that we all avoid in blooms. Literally, with this ocean white pigment, you see that is half a cup. Literally all I'm putting in there, 1 drop. That's it. Simple. Again, I think that's where most people are going wrong with their blooms at the minute. They are making their white too heavy. You've got to remember that the resin still has to be able to support the weight of the white that you're putting in there, which is the whole reason why we've just waited 20 minutes for it to get to the right consistency. So once you've mixed up that white, what you should be able to see, and I've used my stick the wrong way around, but it should still work. You want it quite opaque, but you still want to be able to see through to the stick like that. And I can still see that Galaxy logo. That is telling me that that is still got an element of transparency and it should be right. Now, before we go to the next step, which is going to be pouring the white into the bloom, you've got to decide, do you want to do it from a cup, in which case you can bend your cup and do it like that, or do you want to go all fancy schmancy like I do and use a piping bag? Small piping bags cost pennies. They give you more control. Since I've used piping bags, I've had a lot less blobs, which is what we're trying to prevent when we're doing blooms to get the right effect. Now at this point, with your inks, you can leave them like that. So you're going to get separate colours, or you can swirl them. It is up to you. Depends on what you want in your bloom. It's your bloom. Nobody's going to tell you how to do it. And for this project, I am going to swirl it around a little bit. Just to show you, you can mix things around however you want. And I'm quite liking that as a design. There we go. And get ready for the most exciting step yet. Putting the white into the coaster. Now when it comes to drawing in your petals, you can do whatever design you want. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I'm going to show you the simplest way to get petals. You see me do that? I've just literally pushed the resin down. Should be starting to feel a little bit warm. If it's not, then you've probably not waited quite long enough. And then I've given the bag a twist. That's all I do. Now you've got to remember to give it enough to allow those petals to come in. If you do it too thin, it won't bloom. If you do it too thick, then you will have blobs. The way I tend to measure it is roughly, if you can see there, that end nib, there's just that air bubble. Normally I go about halfway between the end and the resin, and that gives me about 3 mil. Dead straightforward. Top tip, wipe your scissors. Otherwise you will struggle to use those scissors. They will bond with resin. They are metal. Top tip. So I'm going to use my spare scissors and literally just chop a tiny bit off the end, as you can see there. Now what you're hoping to see at this point, if everything is looking good and you're on track, you shouldn't have to squeeze. It should naturally drip, about 1 drip every 2 or 3 seconds out of your piping bag. Boom. And now I'm going to start in the center, hopefully, and try and create a beautiful, even, thickish line. Spiral is what I'm aiming for. And again, you haven't got to be perfect, guys. Remember, in nature, petals will all be different shapes, different sizes, but you do want to get it all the way around your mold if you want your petals to spread the whole way of your flower, and you want to try and avoid going back over the same spot, because hopefully that will prevent your blobs. You can see it's not the prettiest, but it is a spiral. So now what we're going to do, the next exciting stage, draw in those petals. I'm going to get you a better view for this. Again, use your silicone tool, use a dotting stick, whatever you have to hand to draw in the design. And I'm going to show you what could be the simplest design of all to get those petals. So again, I'm going to be using bog standard silicone stick. I'm going to go with the clock face method, which is basically you start at 12 o'clock, you bring it into the center. Remember, you are not trying to touch the bottom of your mold. It's not to try and scratch your mold. You're just tickling the surface. You then go the opposite direction. 6 o'clock, bring it in like so. That already looks like petals, kind of. Then I'm going to go across to 3 o'clock and bring it into that center. Again, wiping my stick in between each one. Next, I'm going to go to 9 o'clock and bring it into that center. Now, you could leave it like that if you only want 4 petals, and that's fine. Personally, I prefer 8. So again, I'm going to split the difference. Bring it in. Then the opposite side. I'm going to bring it in. Then the opposite side. I'm going to bring it in. And then the next one, I'm going to bring it in like so. And you can leave it like that. Looks nice, looks like a flower, looks like petals. Personally, I prefer to draw some of them out a little bit and just give them little points. So I tend to go halfway. Pull it out like that. It doesn't matter if you touch your mold. And you could do this on half of the petals if you wanted, or you can do it on all of them. It's completely up to you. Some people like to do this all the way through the blooms. I don't, because I think it gives you two different petal effects if it works properly. And it doesn't always. You watch, I'm doing a tutorial step by step here, and it's gonna go wrong. You never know. But if you're getting value from this video, guys, do me a favor, like and subscribe, and we will come back in a minute for the final stage. I'm just kidding, guys. You've just done the final stage. That is it. Now, all you've got to do is wait 24 hours or however long your resin says and demold. If you want to come back in 10-15 minutes, not 15 minutes, sorry, if you want to come back in 4 or 5 hours once it's semi-cured and put it back on, you can do that. If not, leave it transparent, you know, they still look really cool without that back. So I'm going to come back in 24 hours, we're going to demold this together. If you found this tutorial entertaining, useful, whichever, do me a favor, like and subscribe, and I'll see you demold. And it's the next day, the final step. Step 10 is for demold. Here you go, spare resin, teddy bear, marbled effect, little keyring. Need some trimming off. But for your bloom, which is what this video is about, let's get it out the mold. Beautiful. There we go. Simple bloom in 10 easy steps. Perfect every time. So I hope you've enjoyed the content. If you have, do me a favor, like and subscribe. Let me know how you get on with your blooms, and I'll see you on the next one.